In 1968 and 1969, J C Pemberton spent 366 days in a combat zone in Vietnam. He was born and raised in Bridgeport, Alabama. He was drafted when he was 22 years old.
Going there, you know what you're going into in a sense, but it was a different world than you ever thought. Training was good, but training doesn't prepare you for stuff like that.
After high school, J C Pemberton started working and got married. He said he knew early on that he would be drafted.
It was scary, and it scared her, but we just talked about it, and I talked over with my parents. You know, this is what we have to do.
He was drafted into the Army, infantry.
We were called a roving battalion. We went everywhere. We were in a jungle, rice paddies for a month. We'd go up in the mountains for a month. We'd go back and forth.
On January 8th, 1968, he went to Vietnam.
You'd have days and nights you couldn't sleep because there's something going on around you every minute.
Mr. Pemberton told us the fighting was hard, but so were the conditions, the heat, the jungle, the snakes. He said he contracted malaria, and his tour was extended for 2 days while he recovered from the jungle rot on his feet. He was awarded a Bronze Star for his actions in April of 1968. After the war, he stayed in the Army for a few more months, got out, came back home to Alabama in August of 1969.
We lost some good men there. I went to the wall and saw that. I saw some names on there. That hurt. That hurt. I'm glad I got the wall for those guys.
J C Pemberton left Vietnam 49 years ago. He's now 73. He says he thinks about the war in some way every day.
I don't think anything like that will ever go plumb out of your mind and your heart, but you can, if you're strong, I think you can push it back and not let it bother you so much. You know, I'm not a nervous wreck. I can't sleep at night, but I can deal with that. I can take a nap in the daytime. I have taken a nap in the daytime when I was working. So I can deal with that part. But I know guys that have a lot worse conditions than me.
J C Pemberton told me in 1968 the standard protocol was to bring the guys who were out on the front lines back to the rear area for 2 or 3 days for rest every 2 or 3 months. He says during his 366 days in Vietnam, he was allowed to come in for rest twice for 2 days. Mr. Pemberton is now retired and spends a lot of his time in Florida.